All right, hi. I'm here on YouTube today because I feel like I have a unique perspective. And I guess I've been thinking about this YouTube channel for a really long time. I've been thinking about it since I was in my 20s and YouTube didn't even exist then. I've been thinking about it as a project of my life. My first goal is going to be to do what actually feels good. So I was listening to a podcast by Glennon Doyle, and I will put the link in the chat for that. It's something she started recently, I think, but I find her to be just fantastic. I read her book called, and now it escapes me, but I'm reading it for a second time. And she talks about, in this podcast that I just listened to yesterday, she talks about doing what actually feels good. And that, you know, in the United States, we have this kind of obsession right now, and it may be worldwide, I don't know, with self-care. And for a lot of us, self-care looks like kind of superficial, like doing your hair, and doing your makeup, and like going out and buying yourself a spa treatment or something. And she talks about the fact that all that's like pretty superficial, and that really the work that goes on is inside of us. And she talks about doing what actually feels good. And I don't think she puts it exactly that way, or maybe she does, but thinking about things like, if tomorrow I was talking to a friend about this thing, would I be proud that I did it, or would I be ashamed that I did it? So for me, like Netflix, like right now I'm in the middle of a binge of, what's it called? I want to say General Hospital, but it's not. It's Grey's Anatomy, right? And there's 4,000 seasons and I'm on 6, and I feel like I'm living with these people. And I like them because they are like my friends, which makes me sound super lonely. But I like them. I like the characters a lot. And I'm watching it mainly because I was reading, or I was listening to the audiobook of the woman who created it, and her name escapes me for a second too, but she sounds like an amazing person. And so I'm super psyched to be watching that. But of course, the next day, if I spend like 2 hours, 3 hours watching Grey's Anatomy, the next day I am likely to feel a little gross about it, right? It's like yesterday. So yesterday was cookie day. So I was like, I had lunch, and I was like, I really want some cookies. And there was nothing to make cookies in the house. So I was like, I'm going out and I'm going to get me some cookies. So I went and I bought like the package where you put in the egg and the butter. And I came home and I made those. And my husband and I, we just cleaned up. I think we ate all but 4 cookies yesterday. And I think I ate more than he did. In any case, nothing to be so proud of. But, you know, it's certainly something that, like, it felt good. It sure did, consuming that much sugar in a short period of time. But it was not something I'm proud of today. I'm not proud of the cookies. So when I think about things that, like, I might actually feel good about, so do what actually feels good, things like taking a hike, right? Things like reaching out to a friend, things like, I don't know, eating something healthy for me, or eating cookies, but in moderation, which I'm not really good at that concept, but that's something that I theoretically could do. Sometimes cleaning the house feels good. Sometimes doing something helpful for someone else does good. Sometimes like reinforcing a boundary or whatever feels good. But so my goal is to focus on what actually feels good and do what actually feels good in the next month, let's say. So today it's June 8th, 9th. No, oh my God, it's July 9th. So I guess until like August 9th, I shall do things that actually feel good to me, and try not to do the things that I like in the morning I would be ashamed of. And I'm going to try to be a little bit moderate about it. Like if I want to watch 1 episode of Grey's Anatomy, that's fine. If I want to watch 7, that is maybe ill-advised. So the first criteria is sort of like, do something that you'll be glad you did the next day. That seems relatively easy. It means that I have to be conscious of what I'm doing, right? Which is, it's so easy not to be conscious of what I'm doing, right? If I want to watch TV, for example, and eat while I'm watching TV, I will eat a lot more, right? If I want to listen to the radio really loud in the car while I'm driving, and maybe I turn up the volume, sometimes I'm trying to cover up something that's going on in my head. If I'm scrolling Instagram, I may be covering up something that I'm feeling. So being conscious of my motivations, being conscious of why I'm doing something and what I'm doing is a little bit tricky. So I think consciousness is like a very essential aspect of this, and being like understanding what feels good in the moment versus what feels good in the larger scheme of things. Okay. So certainly the other thing that you want to do is something that maybe builds self-esteem in some way. And usually for me, like if I achieve something, if I do something good for myself, if I challenge myself, if I take a risk, if I do something good for others, those are all things that are going to build esteem. So I want to do something that builds some sort of esteem. So like I want to have self-esteem, I have to do things that are esteemable. I want to maybe do something that requires a risk. For example, getting on YouTube and talking to the public. So that's an option, right? Talking to the public. But if there's something that you've always wanted to do and this is the great opportunity to do it, or you're scared you might fail, or you're scared you might get called out by people you know that you're on YouTube, or whatever it is, this is an opportunity to do something that takes a little bit of risk. The other thing that I think for me is really helpful when it comes to doing something that I really feel good about is something that builds connection. I'm somebody who believes that connection is the cornerstone of my life, right? Connection with other humans, mostly. My cat, I like her too. So maybe building connection with humans, nature, cats, maybe dogs, who knows, rabbits, plant life. But I think building up the connections in life, because I really think that's where the juice is. I think that connections are sacred. I read it somewhere. I can't remember the name of the book, but very influential in my life. Let's see. I think something that gets me out of myself, right? Out of my mind. I'm in Aries. I am super stuck in my head all the time. I'm always thinking about the big things and how I can do the big things. Getting me out of my head, getting me into the world, getting me next to people, getting me out in nature, getting me out to volunteer or to be supportive or to connect with other people. Those are all good things. And then something getting me out of the house. That's the last thing I think. It's like, if I can get out of the house, I will probably have a better day. I will feel better about that. I'm not an introvert and I have a hard time. I'm not a house mouse. I'm a outside mouse. So those are my criteria for doing what actually feels good this month. So theoretically, I will be updating my channel with new videos every week. Today is Friday. Hopefully I get this video done by Monday, and we'll see how this goes. This is one of the things. So welcome.